The current segregation of communities in America works to keep the poor poor and the rich rich. This plays out in several ways, but very directly so in education. People who need it the most are getting the least amount of resources because property taxes pay for our public schools. This idea of educating those who are already ahead and pushing those who are poor further and further away from success only perpetuates the capitalistic hold on cities. The more the rich can consume, the less necessary the poor become. Education, though, is largely a publicly provided good, creating the capitalist democracy contradiction described by Richard Fogelsong. Property taxes are a direct outcome of the work planners do, so this is where planners must recognize how they might be supporting this contradiction in favor of the reproduction of capitalism and actively work to make changes so this imbalance is not quite as large. This is a challenging change to make because it is not just capitalists, but even the more middle-class people who argue that they should not have to carry the burden of anyone in a lower tax bracket. People feel that they have earned their wealth and should get to spend it how they see fit, but ultimately, by creating a less severe difference between the tax brackets, the burden will become less and less heavy. The discrepancy in quality is seen both during the school years and in prep for their futures. In 2014, the city of Chicago made the decision to close 50 public schools in favor of creating more magnet and charter schools and releasing the pressure of the government to save these depleting CPS locations. Barrington, Illinois is a northwest suburb of Chicago, boasting million-dollar home markets, acres of land, and one public high school for the district. The same year 50 CPS schools closed, Barrington started a program that allowed every single one of their 3,000 students to loan out a MacBook laptop for the entire year. CPS actually did give all the receiving schools, that is, schools that received students whose initial school had closed, tablets for all students grades 3 through 8. But without the trained staff, these tools were not enough to improve learning. According to the Chicago Teachers Union, only 1/5 of schools had technology professionals, and only 38% had librarians on staff. This compared to Barrington High School with 2 full-time librarians and trained media service professionals and 3 full-time support staff. Inner-city public schools often see this type of fate, but even in fringe areas such as Maywood, directly west of Chicago, the discrepancies of education can be seen in much lower graduation rates at Proviso East High School of only 61%, and only 10% of the students are taking advanced placement courses that can set them up for success in further education. At Barrington, the graduation rate is 95%, with 51% enrolled in AP classes. According to the Illinois Report Card, Barrington High School also has 94 academic courses and 59 career development courses or programs, while Proviso East has less than 1/3 of the course options with 29 academic courses and less than half the career development opportunities with only 24 career development courses or programs. Barrington does not only have $150 million of district financing to Proviso East's $90 million, but because of the success of alumni and surrounding businesses, a group called the Education Foundation has been able to donate more than $2.5 million to the Barrington 220 district. Here is where we see the cycles of success and poverty continue as networks and opportunities continue to grow for one group and only diminish for others. Capitalism is reproduced by education as we shift into the information era and a knowledge-based economy. Capitalists prefer the current system of funding for public schools as suburban or more wealthy sections of cities are able to directly fund only their schools and use their connections to fundraise for even more resources to create academic elites where college is typically expected. Not only this, but educated people tend to get higher paying jobs and spend more money. Capitalists prefer this imbalance rather than distributing resources equally and giving every student the opportunity to learn and continue learning in a college setting. Capitalists, both on the property side and market side, are benefiting from this form of public delineation of funds to schools. The work of planners who are zoning areas for residential and commercial and allowing growth in certain areas where capitalists are requesting continues to reproduce capitalism. Houses are getting bigger, and the businesses around those houses are coming in large developments. The tax dollars are growing and growing, creating a better community, fostering continual growth, while the opposite effect is happening for those who are not able to afford a large single-family home and luxury shopping. By giving people opportunity and education, it makes them more empowered to exist in and demand from their community, threatening the capitalist's ability to reproduce. Planners need to be the ones to lessen the powerful cycle created by capitalists and provide more equitable opportunities.